Hello, learner. We have a very advanced and thought-provoking lesson prepared for you today.
That's right. My name is David.
And I'm Emily, and I'm especially excited about today's topic.
It's a fascinating lesson because we're going to discuss a very controversial subject and one of the most influential figures in history, Charles Darwin.
Exactly. Darwin is perhaps most famous for his groundbreaking book, The Origin of Species.
Yes, and since we'll be talking a lot about science, evolution, and big ideas, we encourage you to put your thinking caps on and get ready to reflect deeply.
All right, without further delay, let's imagine a conversation between two university students discussing Darwin. Wow, it feels like ages since we last saw each other. What have you been doing lately?
I've been extremely busy preparing for my exams. On top of that, I've had several term papers to write, so I barely have time to breathe.
I completely understand. I'm up to my neck in assignments and projects, too. At least we have summer holidays to look forward to once finals are over.
That's true. By the way, where are you headed right now?
I'm on my way to my anthropology class. We've been studying Darwin the entire term because it's the 200th anniversary of his birth. Honestly, I'm getting tired of hearing about Darwin over and over again.
Really? How can you possibly be tired of Darwin? His work completely transformed the way humanity understands life.
I know he's important, but sometimes it feels overwhelming.
But think about it. His theory of evolution turned thousands of years of traditional beliefs about creation upside down. It revolutionized biology and anthropology.
I'm not denying his influence. However, I feel that his theory of human evolution and natural selection still has unanswered questions. It's not as flawless as people claim.
Be careful saying that. You might end up making enemies in the academic world, including your professors.
I'm not trying to offend anyone. I just think it's healthy to question things.
Fair enough. Still, Darwin's explanation of the origin of species and the process of natural selection was a massive step toward a coherent scientific understanding of life and its beginnings.
I agree that he made enormous contributions to science, but sometimes his theory reminds me of the classic puzzle about the chicken and the egg.
What do you mean by that?
Well, which came first, the chicken or the egg? It's a logical problem that makes you think. Similarly, I wonder how the very first living organism appeared in the first place.
That's an interesting philosophical question. Perhaps that topic belongs more in a philosophy class than in a biology lecture.
Maybe you're right.
In the meantime, how about we continue this debate over coffee instead of starting an academic duel in the hallway?
That sounds much more peaceful, but don't think I'll stop questioning Darwin just yet.
And don't think I'll stop defending him either.
Yeah, I think those students in the dialogue might even be PhD candidates or advanced graduate students.
That's very possible. They definitely sounded extremely academic and passionate about their subject.
All right, before we start discussing the deeper ideas from today's dialogue, let's first focus on some important words and phrases so we can better understand what's happening.
Good idea. The first section we're going to explore today is called Language Takeaway.
Perfect. Let's begin with the first important word. Many people say that Darwin revolutionized the fields of biology and anthropology.
Exactly. When we say he revolutionized these fields, we mean that he pushed them forward dramatically and forced people to completely change the way they thought about life and science.
So, if you revolutionize something, whether it's an idea, a topic, or even an industry, you create major change and introduce entirely new ways of thinking.
That's right. You can think of the noun revolution, like the American Revolution or the Russian Revolution. Those were historical moments of dramatic change.
So, to revolutionize something means to bring about powerful and lasting change.
Exactly. It's not a small improvement, it's a transformation.
Moving forward, they also mentioned human evolution. What exactly does that mean?
Good question. Well, neither you nor I are monkeys, but according to scientific theory, humans and monkeys share a common ancestor.
So, over millions of years, humans evolved into the form we are today.
Yes, and that long process of change is called human evolution. It refers to the gradual development of human beings from earlier life forms.
When we hear the word evolve, we usually think of something improving or becoming more advanced. Is that always the case?
Not necessarily. While evolve often suggests positive progress, there is also the word devolve, which means to move backward or to become worse.
So, to devolve means to lose progress or return to a less developed state.
Exactly. It's the opposite of evolve.
Another key phrase they discussed was Darwin's theory of natural selection. Yes, that's one of Darwin's most famous ideas and a central concept in evolutionary biology.
Can you explain natural selection in simple terms?
Certainly, natural selection is the process by which stronger or better adapted organisms survive and reproduce, while weaker ones gradually disappear.
So, over time, species that cannot adapt to their environment eventually die out.
Exactly. And it's called natural selection because no person or being is consciously choosing who survives. It happens naturally through environmental pressures.
So, in a way, nature itself determines which species continue and which ones vanish.
That's right. It's a natural process driven by survival and adaptation. They also mentioned Darwin's famous book, The Origin of Species.
Yes, the word origin means beginning, so the title refers to the beginning of different species.
And a species is a classification of living organisms, correct?
Exactly. Humans, black bears, koalas, and chimpanzees are all different species.
So Darwin's book attempts to explain how these various species came into existence.
That's right. It tells the story of how life diversified over time.
Finally, there was the word conundrum, which sounds quite unusual.
I love that word. It sounds sophisticated and slightly humorous at the same time.
A conundrum means a difficult problem or a riddle that is hard to solve.
Exactly. For example, the question, which came first, the chicken or the egg, is a classic conundrum.
You could also use it to describe any confusing situation.
Yes, you might say, this situation is quite a conundrum if you're facing a complex problem.
It definitely makes you sound educated when you use that word.
It certainly does.
All right, now let's move on to the Fluency Builder section, where we'll explore some useful everyday phrases.
Great. The first phrase is very visual. I'm up to my neck in work.
That means you have so much work that if you piled it up, it would reach your neck.
Exactly. It describes being extremely busy and overwhelmed.
Sometimes people also say, I'm up to here, and they gesture toward their forehead.
Yes, and that usually means they are either very busy or very annoyed.
The next phrase is, I'm sick and tired.
This phrase means you are extremely annoyed or frustrated with something.
For example, a parent might say, I'm sick and tired of your complaining.
And notice that sick always comes before tired. We don't reverse the order.
So when you say you're sick and tired of something, you're expressing strong frustration.
Exactly. You've reached your limit.
Finally, we heard the phrase to turn something on its head.
Yes, this means to completely change or reverse an idea or situation.
For example, Darwin turned traditional ideas about creation on their head.
That means he challenged old beliefs and replaced them with a completely different perspective.
So if someone turns a field of study on its head, they transform the way people understand it.
Exactly. It's a powerful phrase that describes dramatic intellectual change.
So when we say to turn something on its head, we mean to completely reverse it or radically change it.
Exactly. It means turning something 180 degrees so that it becomes almost the opposite of what it was before.
For example, if biology used to be understood in one traditional way, Darwin completely transformed it with his new ideas.
That's right. His theory forced scientists to rethink their previous assumptions.
We can also say that Isaac Newton turned physics on its head with his discoveries about gravity and motion.
Yes, Newton's laws dramatically changed how people understood the physical world.
And then, many years later, Albert Einstein turned Newton's theories on their head with his revolutionary ideas about relativity.
Exactly. Einstein challenged classical physics and introduced a completely new perspective on space and time.
So, to turn something on its head means to change its entire direction or to prove earlier ideas incomplete or even incorrect.
Right. It suggests a powerful intellectual shift.
Now let's look at the last phrase. Someone argued that Darwin's theories were full of holes.
Yes, that phrase can be confusing because literally something like a piece of clothing can be full of holes.
But when we say a theory is full of holes, we don't mean it physically has holes.
Exactly. We mean that the theory has weaknesses, missing evidence, or logical problems.
So if someone presents an argument that doesn't make complete sense, you might say it's full of holes.
For example, imagine you accuse me of eating the cookies because I was in the kitchen.
But if there were 3 other people in the kitchen at the same time, your accusation would be full of holes.
Right, because the logic is incomplete and doesn't prove anything.
So when someone says a theory is full of holes, they mean it isn't entirely solid or convincing.
Exactly. It might have gaps in reasoning or insufficient proof.
All right, we've reviewed many useful words and phrases. Why don't we listen to the argument one more time?
Good idea. Let's imagine the conversation again.
Wow, it's been such a long time since we last saw each other. What have you been up to lately?
I've been extremely busy studying for my exams, not to mention all the term papers I've had to complete.
Same here. I'm up to my neck in work. But at least we'll have summer holidays after finals.
That's true. So where are you heading now?
I'm going to my anthropology class. We've been studying Darwin all semester because it's the 200th anniversary of his birth or something like that. Honestly, I'm sick and tired of hearing about Darwin over and over again.
What? How can you say that? Darwin's work turned thousands of years of traditional ideas about creation on their head.
I know he was influential, but I still have my doubts.
His theory of evolution revolutionized biology and anthropology. It completely changed how we understand life.
I'm not denying his importance. I just think his theory of human evolution and natural selection is full of holes. It's not as solid as you claim.
Be careful saying that. You might make enemies with half of the academic community, including your professors.
I'm not trying to dismiss his contributions.
Furthermore, Darwin's explanation of the origin of species and natural selection represents a major step toward a coherent understanding of the world and its beginnings.
I respect his contributions, but his theory still reminds me of the conundrum of the chicken and the egg.
What do you mean by that?
I mean the classic question, which came first, the chicken or the egg?
That's more of a philosophical puzzle than a scientific one.
Maybe so, but it still makes you think deeply about origins.
True, and perhaps that's exactly why Darwin's ideas continue to spark debate even today.
This question about the chicken and the egg is a classic logical problem, and I think it connects to Darwin's theory in an interesting way.
I see what you mean. You're wondering how the very first living organism came into existence.
Exactly. If evolution explains how species change over time, how did life begin in the first place?
That's a fascinating question, but I think it might be better suited for a philosophy class rather than a biology lecture.
Maybe you're right. Still, it's an important issue to think about.
True, but instead of arguing endlessly, how about we settle this debate with a friendly duel of ideas?
That sounds dramatic, but I accept the challenge. Now that we're back, let's reflect a little more on Darwin's theories and his explanations for the origin of species and life as we know it.
Yes, his ideas have shaped modern science, But there is also an opposing viewpoint known as creationism.
That's correct. Creationism is based on religious belief and the idea that life was created by a divine being.
And this has been a major source of controversy, especially in the United States, where some people argue that creationism should be taught alongside evolution in schools.
So the big question becomes whether both ideas should be considered equal theories or whether one is supported by stronger evidence.
It's difficult to compare them directly because they are based on different foundations.
That's true. Creationism is grounded in faith, while evolution is based on scientific research and evidence.
So in a sense, they are not even on the same scale. It's like comparing apples and oranges.
Exactly. Some people argue that science can provide evidence about the past, but since we weren't there to witness it, we can never be completely certain.
And science is always evolving. New discoveries can change what we believe to be true.
That means what we accept as fact today could be modified or even replaced in the future.
For now, evolution may be the best scientific explanation we have, but that doesn't necessarily mean it is the final explanation.
Perhaps in 100 years, scientists will develop a more complete or complementary theory.
That's the nature of scientific progress, constant questioning and improvement.
Now, let's move on to a different story.
Yes, this one is about an elderly woman named Isabella.
I am 82 years old, and my name is Isabella.
She explains that she lives alone now because her husband passed away many years ago.
My children live far away, so I don't see them often.
However, this week, something very special is happening in her life.
My family invited me to Cancun for a big reunion.
Her daughters, her son, and her grandchildren will all be there.
I said yes to the invitation and I bought my ticket with excitement.
She carefully packed her belongings and prepared for the journey.
I finally arrived today. I felt tired from the trip, but very happy inside.
She was ready to see her family again after such a long time.
But first, I needed to go to the hotel.
She stepped outside the airport to find a taxi.
A car stopped in front of me and I assumed it was a taxi.
She opened the door and greeted the driver politely.
I said hello, but the driver did not respond.
That was the first strange moment that made her uneasy.
I told him the name of my hotel and he simply started the car.
He did not smile or say a single word.
I thought perhaps he was just a quiet person, or maybe he was having a bad day.
She tried to make small talk by asking if it was a busy day.
He answered only one word, no.
His short reply and cold tone made her curious.
I began to wonder who this man was and why he seemed so distant.
After a while, he turned on the radio.
A sad song began to play, but he quickly turned it off.
He switched it off so suddenly that it seemed like the music had hurt him.
I said nothing, but I felt that there was pain inside him.
After several minutes of silence, he finally spoke.
He asked me if I had come to Cancun alone.
She replied gently that her family was there and they would meet later.
He stayed silent for a moment before speaking again.
Then he said quietly, "Family is not always easy."
His words sounded heavy, as if they carried a personal story behind them. His voice was low and heavy, and in that moment I understood something important.
You realize that this ride was not just about going to the hotel.
Yes, I felt that this journey would become something deeper, something neither of us expected.
The car became quiet again, but the silence felt different now.
I looked out the window at the passing streets, yet my thoughts were far away.
You were thinking about your family, about dinner together, about hugs and warm smiles.
Suddenly, the driver broke the silence and said softly, "You are lucky."
You asked him why he thought you were lucky.
He replied that I was fortunate to have a family who truly wanted to see me.
You didn't respond immediately because you felt there was more he wanted to say.
After a pause, he continued and told me that he and his wife fight constantly.
He explained that they no longer speak kindly to each other and that they rarely smile.
He said it feels as if they are living in two completely different worlds under the same roof.
You gently told him that it sounded very painful and difficult.
He admitted that it was hard and that he often sleeps alone on the couch.
He also shared that his daughter no longer talks to him.
He said she accuses him of never listening to her, and he wondered if she might be right.
In that moment, you understood that he wasn't cold or rude toward you.
I realized he was simply a broken man carrying too much pain.
You chose to listen carefully instead of judging him.
He explained that he works every single day, driving strangers to beautiful hotels.
He said he smiles politely at customers, but in his own house, he feels invisible.
He described himself as feeling like a ghost in his own home.
That word, ghost, stayed in your mind because it sounded so lonely.
He confessed that the previous night he had almost left his family.
He said he packed a bag and wanted to disappear without saying goodbye.
I asked him gently why he decided not to leave.
He told you that he heard his daughter crying behind her bedroom door.
He said she didn't speak, but her quiet crying stopped him from walking away.
His voice became softer and slower as he admitted he doesn't know how to be a good husband or father.
I wanted to give him advice or say something wise and strong.
But you chose to remain silent because sometimes silence speaks louder than words.
In that silence, I understood that he wasn't just driving toward my hotel.
He was driving through his own pain and confusion.
I looked at him but did not ask more questions or try to solve his problems.
He continued speaking and said his wife believes he only cares about money.
I asked him softly whether she might be right.
He hesitated and admitted that maybe she was not completely wrong.
He said he works constantly to pay the bills and provide food, but he rarely talks about feelings.
He realized that he never asks his wife how she feels, nor does he share his own emotions.
He paused and reflected that sometimes he forgets she is a person with her own struggles.
He acknowledged that she is tired too, but he never truly noticed.
I told him gently that sometimes people only see their mistakes when it is almost too late.
He nodded slowly and then spoke about his daughter again.
He said she used to share everything with him when she was younger.
Now she stays in her room with the door closed and keeps her thoughts to herself.
He admitted that she is right because he was always busy, always on the phone, and always exhausted.
A heady silence filled the car once more.
Finally, I decided to share something personal from my own life.
You told him that you had been married for 40 years.
I explained that I always believed I had more time with my husband.
But one day your husband became ill, and soon after, he passed away.
I said that I wanted to tell him so many important things, but the chance never came.
You admitted that you were often busy in waiting for the right moment.
I told him that sometimes the right moment never arrives.
He looked at you through the mirror with sadness in his eyes.
He said quietly that he fears it might already be too late for him as well.
And in that shared silence, both of you understood the fragile nature of time and family.
I looked at him gently and said, "No, it's not too late."
You explained that if his daughter cried when he wanted to leave, then there is still love in her heart.
I told him that if his wife still argues with him, it means she still feels something.
You added that the real danger is not anger, but silence.
I said that when people completely stop talking, that is when you should truly worry.
He admitted that he thought his wife no longer loved him.
I suggested that perhaps she feels the same fear, believing that he doesn't love her anymore.
He became very quiet, thinking deeply about your words.
After a moment, he told me something unexpected.
He revealed that his daughter had written him a letter the previous year.
He said she left it carefully on his bed, but he never opened it.
You asked him softly why he chose not to read his own daughter's letter.
He confessed that he was afraid to discover what she truly felt.
He said he assumed the letter contained only anger and hate.
I told him that perhaps the letter was written out of love.
You explained that people usually write letters because they still care deeply.
He asked me quietly if I really believed that could be true.
You answered that he would never know unless he found the courage to open it.
He fell silent again, and I could almost hear his thoughts racing inside his mind.
Then he asked in a fragile voice, "What if it's too late?"
I responded calmly, "And what if it's not too late?"
At that very moment, you sensed something shifting within him.
I felt that a small but real change had begun in his heart.
You reflected that you never planned to give advice to a stranger.
I didn't travel to Cancun expecting to help someone in pain.
Yet you wondered if perhaps this meeting was not an accident at all.
Maybe this taxi ride had a deeper purpose.
The car continued moving forward, but the atmosphere inside felt lighter.
He admitted that he thinks about leaving his family almost every day.
He described dreaming about starting a completely new life without responsibilities.
I asked him what emotions he feels in those dreams.
He answered that he feels a sense of peace, but also a deep sadness.
I gently told him that a true dream should bring hope, not pain.
He did not respond immediately and instead remained thoughtful.
Suddenly, he pulled the car to the side of the road without explanation.
He turned to you and asked if he could share something he had never told anyone.
I assured him that he could speak freely.
He took a deep breath before confessing that he had made a serious mistake the year before.
He admitted that he met another woman during a difficult time in his marriage.
He clarified that he did not love her and barely even liked her.
He explained that he only wanted to feel free and escape his problems for a moment.
He confessed that although he never told his wife, he believes she somehow knows the truth.
He believes that this mistake may be the reason his family feels broken.
You felt your heart pause as you processed his confession.
I asked him carefully whether he still communicates with that woman.
He assured you that it happened only once, but that single moment changed everything.
I told him that while one moment can destroy something precious, another moment can also begin to repair it.
He replied that he does not believe he deserves a second chance.
I asked him why, if he felt so undeserving, he was still talking and searching for answers.
You questioned why he stopped the car and opened his heart if he truly believed nothing could change.
He remained silent for a few seconds before answering.
He explained that your words reminded him of his mother.
He shared that his mother passed away 3 years ago.
Before she died, she warned him not to let pride destroy his home.
I told him softly that perhaps now is the time to listen to her advice.
He asked whether you truly believe someone like him can change.
I answered that change does not begin tomorrow or next week, but today.
You explained that transformation starts in a single present moment.
He lowered his eyes and reflected quietly on that thought.
Then he said that perhaps God sent you into his car for a reason.
I neither confirmed nor denied his belief, but I felt that this meeting was meaningful.
He reached slowly into his pocket and pulled out a folded piece of paper.
He told me that it was the letter his daughter wrote, but that he never dared to open.
He looked at you with uncertainty and asked whether he should finally read it.
I did not answer his question immediately.
Instead, you gently asked him whether he wanted to remain the same man or become the man his daughter truly needs.
He stared at the letter in his trembling hands and admitted that he was afraid.
You told him that it was acceptable to feel afraid, but that he should open the letter despite his fear.
He held the envelope tightly for a moment, as if it carried the weight of his entire life.
Then, slowly and carefully, he opened it.
He unfolded the paper and began reading silently.
1 minute passed, then 2, then 3, and you patiently waited beside him.
I did not want to interrupt him, yet my mind was full of questions.
You wondered whether the letter contained anger, farewell, pain, or hope.
Finally, he broke the silence and said that it was not what he had expected.
You asked him what he meant by that.
He looked at the paper again and whispered that the letter was filled with love.
You did not immediately understand and asked him to explain.
He said that his daughter wrote the letter a year ago.
He read aloud that she knew he was not perfect, but she still loved him deeply.
He continued reading that she missed him and wanted her father back.
You remained silent, allowing him space to feel every word.
He said that she understood he was tired and lost, but begged him not to give up.
He read that she was still there waiting, and that she still needed him in her life.
His voice trembled as he read the line asking him not to walk away from them, but to walk back to them.
Then he paused and said there was something more at the end of the letter.
I listened carefully as he read the final lines.
He said that she hoped one day someone would remind him who he truly is.
He read that she wished someone would help him find his way home again.
You felt your body freeze as he slowly looked at you through the mirror.
He told me that I was that person.
You felt unable to speak, your chest both heavy with emotion and light with understanding.
He said I was not just...
You gently replied that sometimes life brings people into our path only for one brief stop.
I told him that even a short meeting can change the direction of an entire journey.
He smiled softly, but then admitted there was still another problem.
I asked him what else was troubling his heart.
He explained that his wife knew nothing about the letter or about his new realization.
He said she did not know that he wanted to fix their broken relationship.
You asked him what he planned to do next.
He confessed that he did not yet know the answer.
You then asked him a powerful question.
I asked him what he would do if today were his last chance to repair his family.
He remained silent for several seconds before responding honestly.
He said he would go home immediately.
He said he would hold his wife and daughter and finally tell them the truth.
I told him that perhaps today was indeed that final chance.
He stared forward at the road, but did not start driving.
He simply sat there, thinking, feeling, and breathing deeply.
After a long pause, he admitted that he never planned to share his story with anyone that day.
He said he only intended to finish his shift and return home quietly.
You told him that something genuine and meaningful had happened instead.
He agreed, but asked what he should do now.
You responded that deep inside he already knew the answer.
He looked ahead at the empty road and said he no longer wanted to take me to my hotel.
You asked him gently if he wanted to go home instead.
He admitted that he did, but that fear was holding him back.
He wondered what would happen if his family no longer wanted him.
I told him that he would never know unless he tried.
And in that quiet moment, the choice stood clearly before him.
I told him gently that if he waited too long, his family might not always be there.
He nodded slowly and admitted that I was right.
After a deep breath, he started the car again.
But this time he did not drive quickly or carelessly.
He drove like a man who was thinking deeply and preparing to make a life-changing decision.
The road ahead seemed quiet, almost symbolic of the new path he was considering.
After a few minutes, he said that he would take me to my hotel first.
You gently refused and told him to take you to the nearest bus stop instead.
I explained that my family could easily pick me up, but he needed to go home immediately.
He reminded you that you had already paid for the ride.
I smiled and told him that the ride was finished, but his real journey was only beginning.
He stopped the car near a small and quiet bus station.
I assured him that this place was perfectly fine for me.
He admitted that he did not know how to thank you properly.
I told him he did not need words of gratitude, only actions that prove change.
A soft and genuine smile appeared on his face for the first time.
Then he said something I will always remember.
He told you that in just 22 minutes, you had changed his life.
He added that he hoped one day he could do the same for someone else.
You confidently told him that he absolutely would.
He looked at me one final time through the window.
Then he turned the car around and drove away toward his home.
I stood there watching until his car disappeared from sight.
You remained still, thinking about everything that had just happened.
I had come to Cancun expecting hugs, laughter, and family dinners.
You thought the trip would simply be about joy and reunion.
But perhaps the journey had a deeper purpose.
Maybe it was also about one short ride and one wounded heart.
Maybe it was about one chance to speak honestly and one chance to truly listen.
You realized that sometimes we do not choose important moments.
Sometimes the moment chooses us instead.
You wanted rest and happiness.
But life offered me something more meaningful.
It gave you one conversation and one opportunity to help.
I did not plan to speak so openly.
And you certainly did not expect to become part of someone else's turning point.
Yet sometimes the moment calls your name and you must answer.
You reflected that people often believe they are too old, too small, or too unimportant to make a difference.
But perhaps a single word can change someone's entire day.
Perhaps one honest question can open a door that has been closed for years.
And perhaps one simple act of kindness can quietly save a life.
You realized that the driver was not just a stranger behind the wheel.
He was like a mirror, reflecting my own past mistakes and silences.
And in return, you reflected a possible future back to him.
So now I ask myself, and I ask you, who needs your voice today?
Who is waiting for your time, your patience, or your forgiveness?
Do not wait for the perfect moment.
Because sometimes that perfect moment never arrives.
The right moment is now.
Speak now.
Love now.
Listen now.
Because sometimes one single moment is all we truly have.